LeBron James is expected to opt out of his Lakers contract, so saith ESPN. The Rams roster is allegedly mid. And with 6 months away from National Signing Day, USC football is in a pretty good place with its recruiting class, but it's kind of precarious. We'll explain. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. And by the way, when I say morning report, I get it. It's late morning. My plane got delayed in Austin. There's no way I'm going to record a clip about LA in front of a bunch of SEC-loving, beer-bellied Texas yeehaws, right? I mean, pardon me for reading something beyond the SEC. So I had to wait till I got home. It's May 31st, 2024, back in the sanctum sanctorum of LA sports. And if you like being in the know about LA, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Chicago 83, Sparks 73. Who among us actually expected the Sparks to have a winning streak, right? All of the scribes, they don't even want to tell us that the Sparks actually could play basketball. They just want to tell us what the players wore into the gym. Oh, there's Cameron Brink with her abs. Again. We know she's tall, she's blonde, she has abs. Got it. Can she play basketball? We don't know. We just know that the Sparks are 2-5. Meanwhile, the Dodgers are going to host Colorado tonight at 7. Walker Buehler is 1-2 with a 4.26 ERA. Dakota Hudson, 1-7, 5.54 ERA. And here we go with the news. LeBron James is expected to opt out of his Lakers contract. But it's not because he wants to leave LA. It's because he's pretty much trying to twist everybody's arm to try to get a better deal, or to try to, like a chess master, try to force things into place so that his son has a path to the NBA. Most of this is according to Brian Windbag of ESPN. But at least this time, to Windbag's credit, he had sources as opposed to just pulling opinions out of his ample backside. So that's a step in the right direction for your journalistic career, sir. Well done. You finally remembered to get sources. Now, USA Today analyzed this. Because you see, everything that LeBron James says has to be scrutinized, right? Much like the existential philosophy of Jean-Paul Sartre or the poetry of Sylvia Plath. Yes, we must break apart what LeBron James is saying or doing, looking for that clever subtext. And USA Today came to some conclusions. One is that if James opts out, the structure of his next contract could actually be helpful to the Lakers. Yeah. In this hunt for a third major offensive option, if not a so-called third superstar. James has opted out of his contract 4 times prior in his career. Now, twice he stayed with the same team in order to help the Cavaliers, to help the Heat find somebody to give a little bit of extra oomph to the offense. Now, of course, there's the second possibility that opting out is a way for the Lakers to get their arms wrenched behind their back so they could draft Bronny James. Yes, in modern day America, nepotism, alive, kicking, thriving in 2024 America. I guess saying that makes me a cynic, but I think you already knew that. Meanwhile, one of the things that I enjoy very much on this channel is spitting all over internet rumors. And the Lakers are just team clickbait, right? If you want a slice of that fat pie that comes from Google advertising, do yourself a favor. Run a Lakers blog. Create anything off the top of your head, and then maybe you'll get enough from Google to pay the rent. So the idea that you've been reading, there have been some that we have to pop that bubble on, like pretty quickly. For example, the idea of the Lakers trading for Cleveland's Donovan Mitchell. He's unlikely to be available. Cleveland press is reporting that the Cavs have been working diligently to sign Mitchell to an extension. So if they're going to sign him to an extension, he's highly unlikely to be available in trade. Meanwhile, for about a year, we've been hearing about how the Lakers, oh my God, Trae Young, he's going to leave Atlanta. He's going to come to the Lakers. Probably not happening either. Here's why. The reason that the Trae Young to the Lakers rumor mill started was because he is represented by Clutch Sports, which is also the agency that represents LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Trae Young is no longer represented by Clutch. So, ixnay on the A-tray. The other rumors that have been going around about the Lakers are kind of obvious. Sources have told The Athletic the Lakers would like to keep Austin Reeves. We knew that. As for free agency, it's a little muddled. The Lakers currently have about $104 million committed to 8 players, but it does not include players who have not opted into their contracts. That would include LeBron James, D'Angelo Russell, Jackson Hayes, Cam Reddish. And it also doesn't include Max Christie, who is a restricted free agent. The goal for the Lakers appears to be, if they get over the salary cap, they can live with it. They just don't want to get past that so-called second apron that the Clippers are currently being strangled by. So, not a lot to feel like it's solid ground when you're hearing about the Lakers offseason. Defensive back Darius Williams returned to the Rams after 2 seasons in Jacksonville, which sucks for the Jaguars because he was actually pretty good for them, especially in 2023. He had 4 picks, which is fine, but he allowed just 51 receptions and 2 touchdowns. He also broke up 18 passes. In other words, you weren't burning this guy. He was solid as they come. Opposing quarterbacks had a rating of just 69.6 against him. When you consider that most quarterbacks want their rating over 100, you weren't throwing with a whole lot of success on Darius Williams. Defensive coordinator Chris Shula said it's not just a matter of numbers that makes Williams valuable with the Rams. Back when Williams was a rookie in 2018, he was mentored by shutdown corners such as Aqib Talib and later Marcus Peters. Then he roamed the backfield when Jalen Ramsey was just lighting up everybody in LA. So if you consider the youth of the Rams defense, Shula said, quote, Williams kind of taking that role now. So it's been really cool to see, unquote. And by the way, somebody has to take that role because that role used to belong to, you guessed it, Aaron Donald. But Pro Football Focus, or PIF, has ranked the Rams' overall roster as just 14th in the league. And that is the very definition of mid. Right below Green Bay's talent level, right above Atlanta's talent level. But would it surprise you if I said I don't really have a problem with that? Because one of the things that the Rams really have excelled at is coaching technique, scheming. How many former Rams players, after they left the Rams, were just kind of meh after they left Sean McVay and his over-caffeinated band of assistant coaches? We mentioned Marcus Peters a moment ago. That dude totally fell off the map. Do you remember how the Bills were supposedly going to be Super Bowl favorites, a dynasty, because they took Von Miller away? We all loved Robert Woods when he was a receiver for the Rams. You have to think where he is now. And by the way, I believe it's Houston. PFF also plays a slight role in terms of feeding America's gambling addiction. They took the roster rankings and they looked at the Rams roster only. And they set the over-under in terms of Rams wins at 8.5. And then they followed it by saying, you got to take the over on it. Now, I'm not trying to encourage any of you degenerates to keep wagering. I have enough vices in my life. I am just simply suggesting to you that that is a way to say that the Rams coach their players to a few extra wins over their talent level. Does that make sense? We are 6 months away from National Signing Day, and USC football's recruiting ranking literally depends on the outlet. Most outlets have them somewhere in the tens, the teens. 24/7 Sports ranks the Trojans class of 2025 as 4th in the nation. Now, quite a bit of that, though, is based on whether or not they keep 5-star quarterback Juju Lewis. And if there's one thing that we've been talking about every so often, is Lewis is speaking out of both sides of his mouth as to whether or not he's going to stick to his commitment with USC. Oh, I'm going to commit to the Trojans. Fide. Oh, there's Coach Prime. Woo. And by the way, FoxSports.com is really wagering on the idea of Juju Lewis going to Colorado. They've had 2 or 3 articles in the last 48 hours on what would happen if Juju Lewis went over there. Now, it's hard for me to clown Lewis that much over it, or clown him at all. He's a teenager. How many of us changed our minds over and over again, even up to our 30s, for Pete's sake? But it does matter, I think, in terms of overall talent in this class, because it's the best recruiting class that Lincoln Riley has assembled since he's come to SoCal. The question is, can he keep it? Riley, when he came here, had elite. See, the recruiting class of 2025 is strong. It's not elite. You don't see actual game breakers listed there. Riley had elite when he came here. Caleb Williams came here. He's elite. Jordan Addison, elite. Kalen Bullock and Tui Tuipulotu were already at SC. 4 elite players. So you could look at the class of 2025. You see a couple of 5-star prospects. You see 5 in the top 100. The 2 who are the 5 stars are Lewis and defensive tackle Justice Terry. So again, the key is bolstering that class and keeping Lewis. Because if they wind up losing Juju Lewis, all bets are off. That draft class drops like a rock. And say what you want about the blue blood USC football fans, but they're not stupid. They know that it's easier to keep California kids in California to attend USC than it is to convince 2 Georgia teenagers, again, Lewis and Terry, convincing them to move all the way across the country. There are 6 months to secure the future of USC football and hopefully upgrade it. Speaking of USC, basketball wing Chibuzo Agbo withdrew from the NBA draft, which makes sense because I don't even remember him playing for the Trojans, for Pete's sake. Dude's been all over the map as a collegian. He played at Texas Tech, then transferred to Boise State. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. What do you think of LeBron James inevitably opting out of his Lakers deal? Does that make your heart go into palpitations? What do you think? Is the Rams roster being undervalued, or is mid where you would put them? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Cortel Queso production. Take care.